Welcome back, folks. Professor Almeida here, and in this video I want to walk you through the project I assigned for Word Module 1 in COSA 50. It's called Word 1 Project. Coming up in this video, you'll see how this project works from start to finish, but before we can get into the project, we do need to set some things up first, and this is where I have two disclaimers for you. Number one, as you will see, there are a lot of moving parts here between Windows, Microsoft 365, especially if you need to install it. And then there's signing in to Microsoft 365, which also involves your Viking portal, which you will see several times. And then not to mention getting into Canvas, Cengage MindTap, and finally SAM. So there's a lot to go through. And unfortunately, I don't have a too long didn't watch summary or cliff notes for this. So I do appreciate your patience and understanding. If you already know what you're doing, you can just skip right ahead to the project. Otherwise, you'll want to watch this video. Second, this walkthrough video should not be a substitute for reading the ebook, working on your SAM training assignment, and especially if you're taking COSA 50 with me in person, this video should not be a substitute for coming to class because, for one, your success starts by walking through the front door. But as time goes on, and if you're watching this from the future, Microsoft has a tendency to change things up, especially since Microsoft 365 is updated on an almost monthly basis. Things get added, changed, moved around, and whatnot. So you'll definitely want to see the live demos. And then that way you can also ask questions. And as an added bonus, not have to worry about projects as homework, at least hopefully. You still have to set up your environment in the classroom anyway, and I will cover all of that in this video. If you need a break, you always have the pause button. Otherwise, let's take a look at some things before we get started. So first and foremost, I have the Microsoft 365 Copilot dashboard here. You can get to this by logging into your Viking portal and then clicking on Microsoft 365. If you're working from home and you don't have Microsoft 365 installed, especially if you don't have access to Microsoft Access, which you will need in this course, you can install Microsoft 365. I have provided instructions in the syllabus, but you basically go to the apps category and you'll see install apps, and then from there, Microsoft 365 apps, install Office. You'll see the setup program download, run that Office setup program to complete installation. Be careful with these web apps here. This is Office Online. It's not the same thing. You will need to have Microsoft 365 installed on your system. If you have questions or if you need to get support, check out the syllabus on ways to get support, including the COS Computer Labs and the Student Technology Help Desk. Here we are in Canvas. If you go to Cengage Resources, check out this link on using SAM projects and textbook projects. And for some reason, I just got kicked out of MindTap. But you know what? We'll go ahead and relaunch this. So again, we're not worried about textbook projects here, but you do want to read this information on how to complete SAM projects. And you'll more or less see this in action as we go further into the video. Again, you don't want to worry about textbook projects, but make sure you read this so you have an idea of what we will be doing. Now, if you scroll further down to our weekly module covering Word Chapter 1 or Word Module 1, here you can see a direct link to the ebook. Here's your Word 1 training sim. I've also provided this video on completing a SAM project in MindTap, but since you're watching this walkthrough anyway, it's more or less redundant. And then finally, here's the direct link to the Word 1 project. One last thing, you always have access to the full ebook, and you can read this ebook at any time. If you are taking COSA 50 with me in person and your class meeting happens to fall on a Monday, I know Monday is not a whole lot of time to get settled in with the chapters, So take a look at the ebook ahead of time so that you have an idea of what we will be covering. And speaking of what we are covering, here are the objectives. By the end of this chapter, you should be able to master these concepts. All right, and with that, if you are working from home, you will need to have a Windows 11 system. Hopefully you can arrange to use a Windows 11 system. And if you don't have a Windows 11 system, you'll need to come to campus and use the COS computer labs. Now, if you're like me running Linux, or even if you're a Mac user and you know how to work with virtual machines, hey, more power to you. You can get a virtual machine going. And with my Windows VM here, I have Microsoft 365 installed. You'll see that set up after the break. And speaking of breaks, now would be a good time to pause this video so that you get a chance to get settled in and I also get a chance to get settled into my environment. So as Windows 11 is loading, I'll go ahead and pause this video. See you on the other side. All right, how are we doing, folks? Hopefully you had a chance to get settled into your Windows environment. Let me show you what's going on from my end here. So you can see I have Windows up and running. And if you are a Mac user or a Linux user myself, and you have the know-how to get VMs up and running, you can do that and have Microsoft 365 installed on your system. But if you don't have access to a Windows PC, you will need to go to campus and use the COS Computer Labs. And speaking of the COS Computer Labs, if you're watching this video from the computer lab or you're in the classroom, you just need to sign in to Microsoft 365. And I will have you sign into Word and OneDrive, as you will see shortly. The easiest way to get started is to just launch Word. If you don't see it in your taskbar, try the Windows Start menu. And if for some reason it's not there, you can search for it or click on All. And we'll skip down to W, where you will see Word. And for good measure, we'll just right click where you can pin it to your start menu if it's not there, or pin it to your taskbar so that you can get to it from your Windows taskbar, as you can see here. And then we'll just launch Word. You will be prompted to sign in. And this is where you will sign in with your LBCC Microsoft account. You will find this information on the front page of the course syllabus. It's your student ID number at lbcc.edu. So if your student ID number is 0123456, it's 0123456 at lbcc.edu. From there, you'll see the all familiar Viking portal where it's your student number and your Viking portal password. When you get to your second factor, as you're inputting the code, be sure to check the box to remember this device. And once you are signed in, you're good to go and you can close out a Word. If you are having issues with signing in, check out the course syllabus on how to get support. Reach out to the Student Tech Help Desk and they should be able to assist you. All right, so once you're signed in, you can close Word and you'll repeat the process with OneDrive. You should see a cloud icon in your system tray, and if you're not signed into OneDrive, it will be grayed out with a slash through it. And again, it's your student ID number at lbcc.edu. Be sure to check the box during your second factor. Now, if you're working from home and you already have your personal Microsoft account signed into OneDrive, you can add a second account, as you can see what I've done here. And then that way, when you get to your Windows File Explorer, you can access your files and folders in your LBCC OneDrive account. And that's really the reason why I had you sign into OneDrive, especially if you are on campus. Now, if you switch PCs while you're on campus, you'll need to sign in again. All right, so with all of that, here we are in MindTap. You can click on the Word 1 project link in Canvas, or if you're here in MindTap, you could do that too. This is going to launch SAM, and you'll see here assignment overview. Read each step completely before attempting it. Some steps include multiple instructions. Not sure how to complete a SAM project? If you click this button, it'll take you to that same video link I showed you earlier that's largely redundant. Do you have the correct version of Microsoft Office installed? If you are working on this project On campus, you should be good to go. But if you're at home, again, if you need to install Microsoft 365, here it is, install apps, Microsoft 365 apps. Again, don't use the web apps. They are not the same. And then lastly, review common mistakes that may affect your grade. Here is a handout from Cengage on some common mistakes to avoid. Lastly here, assignment details, maximum number of submissions allowed 3. What does that mean? It means that you get 3 attempts at this project and your final grade is the best of 3. It's your highest score out of your 3 attempts. So if you get 100 on your first try, you're good to go. But after 3 attempts, whatever your highest score is out of the 3, that's going to be your final grade. And if you're ready to start, this will be another good spot to pause this video. And once you're ready, we'll go ahead and begin. See you on the other side. All right, if you're ready to begin, let's dive right into Word 1 project. Again, you do have that pause button if you need it. All right, go ahead and click on Start in Word 1 project, and it's a 1, 2, 3 approach, right? Step 1 is to download your files. We'll start with instructions. Here's our start file. You'll notice that your start file has your name in the file name, but not only that, there's also information about you embedded within the file. Therefore, do not share this start file with anyone for any reason, even if it's just to see what it looks like. If someone uses your file, the grading engine is going to catch it and it's going to flag that submission. Also, you don't want to start from scratch. Use the start file that's given to you. Otherwise, again, if you try to turn it in, the grading engine is going to flag your file. Check out the syllabus for more details about that. Lastly, you do need your support file, so we'll grab the support file and you'll see what to do with it later on as we're going through the instructions. And at this point, we can go offline. And if I bring up the Windows File Explorer, I'll use Windows E to do that. Go to Downloads in the navigation pane. Here are my 3 files. If I want, I can drop them into my OneDrive in case I'm going to different places. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get started. Double click on Instructions. And then I'm going to go back and double click on my Start file. And I'll use Alt-Tab to switch back to the instructions here. Now, as far as the instructions go, I know this is a computer class and we're all about saving trees here, but if you need to, feel free to print out your instructions so that you have a copy in front of you. That way you can use it as a checklist. You can scribble all over it to take notes and all of that good stuff. Sometimes when you're staring at a screen a lot, especially with me trying to put together this video, your eyes tend to wander. You might miss some important details, especially if you're alt-tabbing back and forth. So if you need to, feel free to print out your instructions. Let me show you how. First, we need to enable editing by clicking on the Enable Editing button. And we'll go into the File tab, click on Print. Make sure you select your printer and then click this nice big print button here. And then we'll click on the back button when you're done. Again, if you need to, feel free to print out your instructions. And since we're here, let's take a look. Springfield Insurance Company completing a flyer with a picture. Again, chapter 1 is on creating and modifying a flyer. It's showing you how to get your feet wet in Microsoft Word with some basic formatting techniques. Getting started, save the file sc_wd365_1a_ first last name _1.docx as, and all you're really doing is just changing that 1 at the end to a 2. If you do not see the docx file extension, do not type it. The file extension will be added for you automatically. What are they talking about? Let's switch over. And you can see here's the file name. You're just changing the 1 at the end to a 2. Okay, let me show you how to do that. First, we need to enable editing by clicking on this Enable Editing button here in the gold or yellow bar, depending on your Office theme. And in the File tab, we're going to choose Save As. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what's the difference between Save and Save As? Now, if you're saving a document for the first time, you want to go with Save As. Now, back in the day, I had a computer teacher impart some wisdom onto me, and it went something like this. Computers are not so smart, and you have to tell them what to do. Well, in the case with Word, you have to tell it, what are you going to call your file? And in this case, we're just changing the 1 to a 2. Where are you saving the file? In other words, the location. And then finally, what type of file? Now, for these projects, we're not worried about the file type, but let's say you're working on a job resume. If you want to preserve your formatting as it was intended, then you want to change your file type to a PDF. That way, when you send your resume around, hopefully everyone has a PDF reader. They can just open up your resume as a PDF and see it exactly the way you intended it to look. So again, it's the file name, the location, and the file type. If one of those three things change, you need to use Save As. Otherwise, if it's going to be the same, then you can use Save. Now, I'm going to pause this video so that I don't dox myself and I can show you what to do once you click on Save As. So give me a moment. I'll be right back. All right, let me show you here. So we want to change the 1 at the end to a 2. And I'm happy with my downloads folder, but if you want to save to your OneDrive, well, it should be right behind this window here. Again, I'm doing this so I don't end up doxing myself. And then finally, when you're ready, click the Save button. And as you can see, once I click Save, you'll see that the file name now has a 2 at the end. And at this point, we're ready to begin. Project steps. Number 1, you are a trainer in the Employee Financial Wellness Program at Springfield Insurance Company and are creating a flyer about upcoming personal budget presentations. Begin by making the following changes to the document theme and the theme colors to match other documents from the Employee Financial Wellness Program. Change the document theme to Office and change the document theme colors to orange. Now, let me give you a quick tour here. Again, this walkthrough video isn't a replacement for reading the ebook and for practicing in your SAM training. So I'll give you a quick tour here. In the upper left, you have your quick access toolbar. If you turn on autosave, this will save your project to OneDrive. Here's your title bar. Again, you can see the 2 at the end and it's in my downloads folder. Again, if you turn on autosave, this will save it to OneDrive. You have your search bar, your Microsoft account, minimize, maximize, restore down, close. And then this area here is the ribbon. It's a menu-like system, and you can see you have menu items, which are called ribbon tabs. So for example, you have the File tab, as you just saw earlier. By the way, this is also called Backstage View in the world of Microsoft. Here's the Home tab, right? You have your Insert tab, Draw, Design, Layout, and so forth. Within each tab, you have groups. So for example, in the Home tab, you have your Clipboard group, your Font group, your Paragraph group, your Styles group, which is a drop-down menu, your Editing group, which is also a drop-down menu. Now, keep in mind, if you're watching this from the future, Microsoft has a tendency to change things up almost every month. New features are added, things are moved, renamed, and whatnot. So what you see in the future might not necessarily be what you're seeing in this video. Now, the editing group used to have commands displayed there, but if you don't have the real estate for it, or in the case of recent updates, Microsoft decided to put editing behind, or your commands behind this menu here. You know, this is just something you're going to have to get used to seeing, and you know, it might be a learning curve for some. So what I would recommend is spending time getting to know the ribbon and where things are. So for example, with references, you're going to see this in chapter 2, and here's the review tab. So do spend some time getting around Microsoft Word. You learn more by doing, not just by reading. So again, give yourself plenty of time. And I do give you plenty of time to work on these projects. This is your document area, and then towards the bottom, you have your status bar here. Anyway, we're being asked to change the document theme, and you'll find this in the Design tab, Document Formatting Group. See what I did there? I used some terminology. I mentioned the ribbon tab and then the ribbon group. And then finally, we have our command, which is themes. By the way, this is what's called a tooltip. This tooltip tells you what the command is called and what it does. Let me give you another example. Let's say you want to bold some text. After selecting some text, to bold your selection, you would go into the Home tab, Font Group, and then from there, you click on Bold. If you're not sure what a command does, again, you mouse over it, you get this tooltip. In this case, it's called Bold. Your keyboard shortcut is Control-B, and it makes your text bold. Here's another example. Home tab, Paragraph Group, Show Hide. Show paragraph marks and other hidden formatting symbols. But anyway, in the interest of time, let's get back to our themes here. So they want us to use the Office theme. And by the way, if you mouse over the different themes, notice how the document is changing in the background. This is what's called a live preview. And you can see how your document's going to be affected before you commit to a change. So we're going to go with the Office theme here. And then we're also being asked to further customize this document by changing the theme colors. And again, it's in the Design tab, Document Formatting Group. Click on Colors or Theme Colors, and you'll see orange. And at this point, we are done with step 1. If you have your instructions printed out in front of you, you can cross off step 1 or you can take notes. Step 2, change the margins to narrow to fit more content on the page. And if we go into the Layout tab here, you'll see the Page Setup group. Here's the margins drop down, and you'll see a number of different presets. By default, your Word document has 1-inch margins all around. It's called the normal setting, but we want narrow here, which sets your margins to 1/2 inch all around. And one thing I do want to show you is that more often than not, there's multiple ways to do the same thing. For example, in the Page Setup group, we can click on the dialog box launcher, and this brings up the Page Setup dialog box. Here's the Margins tab. We can also go back into that margins drop down, custom margins. Again, same thing, Page Setup dialog box. If we go into Backstage View and choose Print, there's margins, narrow margins, right? Click on Custom Margins, boom, Page Setup. Or you can click on Page Setup, right? Multiple ways to get to the same thing. So again, let's make sure our margins are set to narrow. At this point, let's save what we're working on. And again, if you need a break, you do have that pause button. All right, let's go ahead and continue with step 3. Step 3, increase the impact of the picture of the couple and balance it with the rest of the layout as follows. Resize the picture to a height of 3 inches and apply the simple frame black picture style. So let's back up here. They're talking about the picture of the couple. So what we need to do here is select the picture of the couple, and you'll see the Picture Format tab appear in the ribbon. Click on the Picture Format tab, and in the size group, we're going to change the height as directed to 3 inches. You can type in 3 inches, or we can use the up or down arrows. And you can see how we can change it here to 3 inches. Notice how the width adjusts automatically. Okay, so again, your height is going to be 3 inches. And in the second part, we're being asked to apply the simple frame black picture style as you see here. Now to do that, again, make sure your picture is selected. Go to the Picture Format tab, Picture Styles group. You'll see this drop down here. This is called Quick Styles. In the past, this was known as the More button. Okay, it's called Quick Styles. Well, how do I know which one is Simple Frame Black? Well, if I mouse over one of the icons, I will see the name. And if you look long enough, you'll see in the second row, Simple Frame Black. All right, let's go ahead and save. If you have autosave turned on, then your progress should be saved to your OneDrive. All right, step 4, draw attention to the flyer's headline paragraph, budgeting 101 as follows. And we'll stop here. because I do want to show you some selection techniques. Now, this right here is actually a paragraph, even though it's a one-liner. Microsoft considers this to be a paragraph, and let me show you quickly some selection techniques. If you simply click with your mouse or trackpad, this just moves the insertion point, right? That's that blinking cursor. It's called the insertion point. If you double click, you'll end up selecting a word, and you'll see this mini toolbar here. And to give you a better example, let me show you this paragraph here. So I'll double click to select the word, and if I triple click, I'll end up selecting the entire paragraph. Okay, now let me show you another technique. If I go to the left of my margin here, you'll notice how my pointer is inverted. And I can select line by line, or I can hold down my mouse or trackpad button and I can select multiple lines like this. So if I click once to the left of the margin, again with my inverted pointer here, I'll select the line. If I double click, I select the paragraph, and if I triple click, I select the entire document. Right? Selecting the entire document is the equivalent of going to the Home tab editing group, select, and select all, or the Control-A keyboard shortcut. So with that, again, in step 4, we want to select the paragraph Budgeting 101. So I'll triple click to select the paragraph, and let's see what they're asking for. Change the paragraph spacing before and after to 6 and 0 points respectively. So I'll go into the Layout tab, Paragraph group, under Spacing. Before needs to be 6 and after needs to be 0. Again, Layout tab, Paragraph group. Before 6 point, after 0 point. The last item is to change the case to uppercase. And to do that, we go into the Home tab, Font group, and you'll see Change Case, Uppercase. Make sure you're saving as you go. And again, if you need a break, you always have that pause button. All right, let's continue on to step 5. In step 5, clarify that the How to Manage Your Money paragraph is the presentation subtitle. And again, we'll take this one at a time here. First, we need to select how to manage your money. Okay, here it is, how to manage your money. And I can select a paragraph like this, again, going to the left of the margin. Center the paragraph. We go to the Home tab, Paragraph group, and you'll see that by default, it's a line left. So what's a line left? A line left means that your text is lined up evenly along the left margin, but it's going to be jagged to the right, as you can see here. Centering, or Control-E, and by the way, this keyboard shortcut only works in Word and PowerPoint. Control-E is something else in Excel. Centering means that your text will be centered between the left and right margins. Right align is the opposite of left. Your text will be lined up evenly along the right margin, and it will be jagged along the left. And then finally, we have justified, where your text is lined up evenly along both margins, but there will be different spacing between words. Okay, so let's go ahead and center how to manage your money. Change the font size to 16 point. Step 5B, change the font size to 16 point, and then in part C, italicize the paragraph. So just to show you, I can also change the font size using the mini toolbar. Okay, so we can set it to 16. I can also do this by going to the Home tab, Font group, and choosing font size. Now, if there's a font size that doesn't appear in the dropdown, we can just type it in, as you can see here. So again, make sure the font size is 16, and then finally italicize the paragraph. Home tab, Font group, click on italicize or italic, Control-I, or if you prefer, you can also do this from the mini toolbar. By the way, if you right click, you also get the mini toolbar there too. Okay, just wanted to show you that. All right, that takes care of step 5. Now, step 6. Copy the text Springfield Insurance Company from the heading paragraph at the top of the flyer, and then paste it in the in the blank paragraph after the How to Manage Your Money subtitle. So at the top, we have Springfield Insurance Company, and they're asking us to copy this text or copy this selection here. And that's done through the Home tab clipboard group, and you'll see copy. Now, let me take a moment to explain cutting, which you can see is Control X, copying, Control C, and then paste, Control V. So let me explain what's going on here. Right? When you cut a selection, you're removing that text from its original location. It's stored in your Office clipboard and it doesn't appear until you go to paste it. Now, when you copy something, that original selection stays in place and it's going to appear when you paste it. Now, the Office clipboard is temporary memory within the Microsoft 365 suite. What's nice about this is that you can have different selections stored in your Office clipboard and you're not just limited to Word. So for example, if you're working between Word and PowerPoint, you can cut some text in Word and go to paste it in PowerPoint. Now in the past and with some other operating systems, usually when you cut or copy a selection, you can only keep one selection held in memory at a time. But more recently, you have clipboard history or different clipboard settings. Let me show you how that works in Windows here. So here's the Office clipboard. If you click on the dialog box launcher, you can see how it's stored here. But in Windows itself, if I hold down Windows and hit V, this brings up my clipboard history. So if I'm copying different things in Windows, it will show up in my clipboard history. You do have to enable this, by the way, in your settings. If you go into your Start menu and settings, you do have to enable this. But in Microsoft 365, you already have this Office clipboard enabled by default. There's nothing else you need to do here. So we're going to go ahead and copy our selection, and we need to paste it in the blank paragraph after the How to Manage Your Money subtitle. Now, the giveaway here is that we have this blank paragraph below How to Manage Your Money. And to paste, we go to the Home tab clipboard group, or if you know your keyboard shortcuts, Control V. There you go. And let's go ahead and save. Moving right along to step 7. Bold the date Thursday, October 14th in the paragraph that begins Wednesday, October 6th to use the same formatting as the other dates in the document. So again, we're going to bold the date Thursday, October 14th. So you can see here's Wednesday, October 6th. We just need to select Thursday, October 14th, and then we can bold this selection. Again, we can use the mini toolbar here. We can go into the Home tab font group, click on bold. Let's make sure we're saving. And again, if you need a break, you do have that pause button. All right, how are we doing so far? Let's make sure to get caught up. And with that, let's move on to the next step here. Step 8, format the 2 paragraphs beginning Wednesday, October 6th and ending from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. to make them stand out. Apply the paragraph shading orange accent to lighter 80%. And they do tell you here, 6th column, 2nd row in the themes color palette to the entire paragraphs. So they do give you a hint, but let's break this down first. We need to first select the 2 paragraphs beginning with Wednesday, October 6th and ending from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. So I'll go ahead and do this using my selection techniques. And what they're asking us to do here is to apply the paragraph shading. Okay, so for that, we need to go into the Home tab paragraph group and we need to click on shading. This is shading right here. And you'll see here's the color palette. Now, hopefully you remember to change the theme colors early on in this project, because if you forgot to change the theme colors, well, the theme colors are not going to be the same. The theme color we're looking for in this case is orange, accent to lighter 80%, they do tell you it's in the second row, sixth column. Okay, so second row, and there's orange accent to lighter 80%. Let me give you a tip here on how to figure out the different colors. So you have your main colors in the first row, right? For example, orange accent 2. But as you move down the column, you're going to see lighter 80%, lighter 60%, lighter 40%, darker 25%, and then finally darker 50%. Okay, so remember that. Again, orange accent 2, lighter 80%, and it's paragraph shading. All right, step 9. Add the words "and keeping" to the paragraph beginning "The presentations explain," so that reads, "The presentations explain the following steps in creating and keeping a budget to meet your financial goals." Okay, so here we go here. The presentations explain the following steps in creating and keeping a budget. Right, so we just do some typing here. Again, make sure to save. And that takes care of step 9. Step 10, create a numbered list beginning with the paragraph, calculate income, automatic deductions, and ending with a paragraph, set goals for retirement, to format the paragraphs as steps. Now, what's nice about this is that we already have these paragraphs here. And again, let's make sure that it's these 4 paragraphs. Again, you can see how I'm switching back and forth between the instructions and the project file. Might not be a bad idea to print out your project instructions, just saying here. Okay, so for retirement, and they're asking us to create a numbered list. So we already have these paragraphs. To create the numbered list, go to the Home tab, Paragraph Group, and here's numbering. And let me check the instructions one more time. I believe it's pretty much the default. All right, we'll just go ahead and choose the default here. There you go, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that takes care of step 10. Step 11, emphasize the numbered list from the paragraph beginning calculate income to the paragraph beginning set goals as follows. Okay, so first we need to select the numbered list beginning with calculate income to set goals. All right, so we already have this selected. Let's say you accidentally click off. You can go ahead and reselect your paragraphs here. And from there, 11A, change the font of the text in the numbered list to Cambria. Go to the Home tab, Font Group, and you'll see here's the gallery, and notice the live preview happening in the background. Let's go ahead and choose Cambria. There you go, Cambria. And then change the font color of the text in the numbered list to orange accent to darker 25%. And they do tell you 5th column, or excuse me, 6th column, 5th row. So Home tab, Font Group, Font Color. Okay, go down to, is it orange? Let me double check this again. Orange accent to darker 25%. All right, so we know the darker 25% are here. It's orange accent to darker 25%. Orange accent to darker 25%. Step 12, delete the unnecessary paragraph presentations given by the benefits department. Okay, so let's go ahead and just get rid of this paragraph. Easy enough. And by the way, let me undo this because you might run into an issue here. There is a difference between using backspace and delete on your keyboard. Let me show you the difference. So watch what happens. Watch what happens when I use backspace, right? This is backspace. So let me go ahead and undo. And this is when you use delete. Okay, do you see the difference here? So backspace removes the character before the insertion point, and delete removes the character after the insertion point. Okay, so just be aware of that. And we'll go ahead and delete this paragraph. All right, how are we doing, folks? This will be a good point to take a break, and we'll continue in a moment. All right, let's go ahead and continue on here. Draw attention, step 13, draw attention to the web address in the paragraph beginning, learn more about our employee as follows to make the information easy to find. Part A, remove the hyperlink from the web address www.sic.cengage.com. Okay, let's get rid of this web link. And to do that, we can just right click directly on the link and you'll see in this menu, remove hyperlink. Now, this menu has different names: right click menu, contextual menu, shortcut menu. I'm just going to use right click in this case. And again, we will remove the hyperlink. (13B), apply the text effect, orange accent 2, lighter 40%, 6 column, 4th row in the outline section of the text effects and typography gallery. See, they're giving you hints here to the web address. Okay, so we want to make sure that's just the web address we're selecting here. Okay, just the web address. And in the Home tab font group, we have a command here called text effects and typography, as you saw in the hint. And this is what you'll see. Let's take a look at part B again. They are telling you to apply the text effect in the outline section, right? So you do need to go to outline, and the color is orange accent 2, lighter 40%. So outline, and you just need to look for orange accent 2. Remember the pattern: lighter 80, lighter 60. There's lighter 40. Okay, let me make sure I get that tooltip back up there. There it is. Orange accent 2, lighter 40%. Step 14, this is where your support file comes in. If you forgot to download your support file, go back into MindTap, click on the Word 1 project, or click on the Word 1 project directly in Canvas. Go to your support file. Make sure you download that, because you will need it for step 14. Insert a picture as follows to balance the layout of the page. Part A, in the blank line at the bottom of the page, insert the file support _ WD365 _1A _bank.jpg. So in the blank line at the bottom of the page, and I do need to alt tab my way back to the project here. Okay, blank line at the bottom of the page. Here it is. We need to insert the file. And how do we do that? Well, we go to the Insert tab, appropriately named here. In the Illustrations group, you'll see Pictures. Insert picture from this device, or from File, as it used to be called. And there it is in my Downloads folder. This is what I'm looking for. Go ahead and click Insert. And let's see what else we need to do with it. Apply the tight reflection touching reflection picture effect. So they're giving you some hints here. In the picture format tab, you'll see picture styles, picture effect, right? That was the hint there. It's called tight reflection touching reflection picture effect. So let's check out picture effects. And there's reflection, right? Now we just need to look for the one that's called tight reflection touching. Okay, so we just need to find the one that's called tight reflection touching, and it's the first option here. Okay, again, use the tooltips. And let's make sure to save. Last step, step 15, finish the flyer by adding a page border as follows. So let me click off the picture here, and we're going to add a page border. Well, before we get to A, B, and C, we need to figure out how to add a page border. And to do that, we go into the Design tab, Page Background group. Here's Page Borders. Okay, and the reason why we're going here is because if you go to Home tab Paragraph, here's borders, and then if you go to borders and shading, well, it looks a lot like what I just showed you, but this is different, right? This is for the paragraph. We want to go to page borders here in page background, and you'll see that this specifically says page border. And now we can check out what we need to add. And by the way, if Alt Tab doesn't work for you here, as you can see, let me show you another trick. Go down to your taskbar, hover over the word icon, and then hover over instructions, and you'll see a preview. Select the double line page border, the seventh border in style list. Okay, so here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's the double border. And then again, I'll need to hover over the instructions in my preview. Change the border color to orange accent 2. Okay, hopefully you figured out where orange accent 2 is by now. And then lastly, change the width of the border to 1/4 of a point. So we need to change the width to 1/4 point. And once you have this, go ahead and click OK. There's your page border. And now I can Alt-Tab my way back to the instructions. Your document should look like the final figure on the following pages. Hey, check this out. We have a little cheat sheet. This is what your final product should look like. Save your changes, close the document, and then exit Word. Follow the directions on the website to submit your completed project. Okay, so let's make sure to save our project. And before I go any further here, if you'll indulge me for a second, just watch what I'm doing. Don't repeat what I'm doing here. If you'll indulge me for a second, I'm going to change something here. Now, if you are autosaving, you need to close completely out of Word. Okay, make sure after you save, you close completely out of Word. And now when you're ready to turn in your project, make your way back to the Word 1 project assignment in MindTap. You can go to MindTap or you can click on Word 1 project in Canvas and find your way back here to step 2. Drag or drop file here or click to browse files. So I'm going to visit my downloads and there's my project file. Step 3, submit. Now you do get 3 attempts, but I'm essentially in God mode because I do need to record this video. So let's see how we did. Make sure you grab your graded summary report. Again, make sure you download your summary report because this is your record of turning it in. Let's go ahead and open this. And oops, we have a 97 out of 100. So here you can see how you did. And if you were thinking I was going to get a 100 on my first try, well, I did change something to illustrate this right here. You probably noticed that I went back into my project and changed the font color for those 4 paragraphs. And you can see it was marked wrong. So let's say you don't get 100% on your first try. Use this as a guide. And then what you're going to do is to go back into your project. Okay, you don't want to edit your report. You want to go back into your project here. And then we'll go ahead and make the corrections. So as you saw earlier, I changed the font color. And we'll go ahead and change this back. We'll go ahead and save. So make sure you address the issues in the report. When you're done, save and close completely out of Word again. And now let's give this a try again. Let's go ahead and turn in our project. And for some reason, it's not letting me. You know what? Let's do this. I'll go ahead and relaunch Word 1 project. Click Start. All right, let's try this again. Let's go ahead and re-upload our project. Click Submit. And this is attempt number 2. Let's download our summary reports. And there you go, 100 out of 100. Now, let's say you are down to your last attempt and you're not doing so well. You know, you've made a lot of mistakes. It wouldn't hurt to get rid of your project file and then just start over from scratch. You still have this one with the 1 on the end. You'll just save a copy with a 2 at the end and then start from scratch, because you do get 3 attempts and hopefully the 3rd time is the charm. And that is it for the Word 1 project. I hope that this video has helped you out. You've seen how it works from start to finish. I wish you the best of luck. Don't forget about that final figure at the end so that you can compare and make sure that you're doing things right. And with that, I wish you all well, and I'll see you in the next walkthrough video. Thanks for watching.